Hello everybody, it's a little bit wet outside in my garden today, so what I've done is I've brought a bicycle inside and today I want to talk to you about gears. Now some of you might not have gears on your bicycle, but maybe an adult in your house has, or some of you might have a bicycle with gears, which would be fantastic. You can have a look at that. And I wonder how many of you actually understand what the gears do and how the gears work. So I'm going to show you a little experiment you could do today to investigate how the gears on your bicycle work. But first of all, it's really important that you know some of the words that I'm going to use. So I'm just going to show you a close-up on my bike now and point out some of the important features that you'll need for this experiment. So the first thing that you need to know is that you have a bicycle chain. Here is the bicycle chain. And if you have gears on your bicycle, on your back wheel, this is the back wheel of the bicycle, there's the front where the handlebars are, here's the back wheel. If you've got a gears bike, on the back wheel you will have lots of different cogs. So the cogs are these wheels with these sharp teeth here, and you'll have lots of different size ones. So the biggest cog is this big one here, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 smaller ones on this bicycle. So the smallest cog is this one here, and the biggest cog is the one there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn the pedal, and you'll see that when I turn the pedal, the wheel goes round, and at the moment the chain is going round the biggest cog. Okay, so you can see the chain on the biggest cog there. If I change the gear, so that's actually in the biggest number gear. Okay, it's on the biggest cog. If I change the gears now, so I'm just going to change the gears a few times and put the pedal round. And what you'll notice is that the chain has moved onto a smaller cog. I'm going to change it again. And if I keep pedaling, then I can move the chain down onto an even smaller cog. So that's changing the gears. So then I can change gear again, and I can move the chain back onto a bigger cog and change gear again, and I can bring it back. I keep pedaling, I can bring it back onto the biggest cog. So that's what the gears do. They change the cog number that the chain goes round. So one gear has it on the biggest cog, and then as I change the gears, the chain goes on the smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller cogs. So I'm going to show you an experiment you can do to work out what effect that has when you're pedaling. And what you'll notice is that on my wheel, to make this experiment easier for me, I've just put a little bit of tape around the wheel here so that when I move the pedal, I can count how many times the wheel goes round, because every time that tape comes around the top of my wheel, I can see it going round. So you're going to need to do that if you want to do this experiment. Okay, so for my experiment, at the moment I have got my gear set up so that my chain is on the largest cog, so that is gear 1 on this bike, and I've got my tape at the top of the wheel. What I'm going to do is I'm going to slowly turn the pedals 1 revolution, 1 turn, and I'm going to try and count how many times the wheel goes round, how many revolutions or turns of the wheel there are. So whilst I'm doing this, I must be really, really careful not to put my hands anywhere near the wheel, because obviously the wheel will be going round and I don't want to get my fingers caught in the spokes. So I'm only going to touch the pedal. I'm going to slowly turn the pedal once around, and I'm going to count how many times the wheel goes round. So if you watch, you can help me. So I'm turning really slowly now. That's half a turn of the pedal and a full turn of the pedal. And actually, my wheel has made 1 complete revolution. The tape went the whole way round. So I'm going to show you again just to check that that's right. So I'm starting to turn my pedal just nice and slowly, and you can see my wheel going round. That's half a turn and then a whole turn, and my wheel has made one revolution. So I've got a little table here to show you for my results. So I've got gear 1, which is the large cog, the largest one. And here I'm going to write down the number of turns, the number of revolutions, number of times the wheel goes round for one turn of the pedals, which was once. So I'm going to write 1 there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change gears on my bicycle. So I'm going to go down to the smallest cog, which on this bike is gear 6. Okay, so I'm just going to wait for the wheels to stop turning. So on my table this time I've come right down to the bottom. So I'm doing gear 6, which is the smallest cog of my gears. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to find out how many times the wheel turns for one turn of the pedal. So I'm going to start with my tape at the top, and I'm going to very slowly turn the pedals one complete turn, and I'm going to see how many times the wheel goes round. So I'm starting to turn really slowly now. That's about a quarter of a turn. That's once on the wheel. And I'm nearly finished, and that's twice on the wheel. And that's one whole turn of my pedals. And that's about 3 times on the wheel. So the wheel went round once, twice, 3 times, even though I just turned the pedal once. So I'm just going to do that again just to check. So I've got my tape at the top. I'm going to very slowly turn the pedals once, see how many times the wheel goes round. So, hello Luna. So my wheel's starting to go round. So that's 1 turn, 2 turns, 3 turns. So for 1 turn of the pedal, hello, my wheel went round 3 times. So I'm going to write that on my sheet. 3 times. So on my results sheet here, I know that for gear 1, when I'm on the large cog, for each turn of the pedal, the wheel goes round once. And for gear 6, when I'm on the smallest cog, for each turn of the pedal, the wheel goes round 3 times. So what you could do is you could investigate all of the gears in between and see if you can spot some kind of pattern. So what we found out is that when you are in a low gear, gear 1 on the large cog, for each turn of the pedals, the wheel does 1 turn. So that's quite slow. So that's when you're going quite slowly, or when you're going uphill, you want to use that kind of gear. And then when you're in a high gear, when you're in gear 6 and your chain is going round the small cog, for each turn of the pedals, the wheel goes round more times. So that's quite fast. So that's when you're cycling really, really fast. You want to be in a high number gear to go really quickly, or when you're going downhill, something like that. So that's a really interesting experiment that you can do with your own gears on your bike, or on an adult bike if you've got one at home. If you don't have a bike with gears that you can use to experiment with, I've got some other activities that you can do. So at this time of year, when it's the big pedal, quite often we have a bling your bike or a bling your scooter competition where people dress up their bikes and scooters. So I've got some sheets here which I'll put up for parents to print off if you want to, or if you can't print it off, you could just draw a picture of a scooter. I've got one of a scooter and one of a bike. And I know that Bike It Ray would really, really love to see your blinged up
bikes and scooters. How could you decorate your bike or your scooter? Could you put a rocket booster on it to make it like a supersonic car? Could you turn it into an insect with wings and antennae? There's all sorts of things that you could do. So if you want to have a go at blinging your bike or blinging your scooter, either for real, doing it, dressing it up with some junk modelling or something that you've got at home, or doing a drawing of one, and you want to share a photograph of it with us, then I know that Bike It Ray would really, really love to see them, and he would really, really enjoy that. So there you go, there's a couple of bike and scooter related activities that you can do at home today. Bye.